What is up, everybody? It is Ozzy from OzTalksHW, and today I have a quick review of my new mini-ITX case, the Rosewill Neutron. So the very first thing that I actually noticed about this case is its size. It's 24 pounds, which is actually really big for a mini-ITX case since they're known for their portability and their small form factor. And I've sort of tried to wrap my head around why this is, and I think Rosewill did this on purpose so they would segue people like me who have never used a mini-ITX case into the mini-ITX world pretty comfortably. And I sort of see that while I was building my computer. Other than that, I don't really see a reason why it's so big, but if you think like Rosewill, I guess it would make sense. So 3 words I would use to describe the outside of this case are sleek, simple, and steel. It's a steel frame and the design is pretty basic at best, but it still looks good, which I really like. It has a really clean feel to it. On the front of the case, you have this sort of honey mesh filter combo thingy that is removable and sort of magnetic. You get this really satisfying snap when you place it back into place, which I like. Once you open the front of the case, you are greeted with 2 140mm red LED Rosewill fans, which are 2 out of the 3 pre-installed ones and 2 out of the 6 that you can actually install into this case. The only bad thing I will say about these fans though are that they can get pretty dang loud. Right now, my computer's on, and I'll see if I can do a quick sound test just to give you guys an idea of what this will sound like if you have them installed. Also on the front of the case, we have an optical drive bay for your CD and DVD drives. To the left of the front of the case, you have 4 USB ports. Half of them are 3.0 and half of them are 2.0. And I have nothing to say about this other than that I think every case from here on out should really have at least 4 USB front I/O ports. To the right of the front of the case, you also have your headphone and mic jack, and you also have your power reset button and your indicator LEDs. I will say this, the bad thing about these jacks is that they are really sticky. I had a lot of trouble trying to plug my headphones in or my mic in and plug them out. You sort of have to yank it and there's no real smooth transition between entering the jack and exiting the jack. I think that has to do with the steel frame. I think the finish inside of the holes isn't really that good, if that makes sense. I don't know, I'm sort of making this up. I'm trying to reason why it's like this, but it's like that and you should be aware of that, so keep that in mind as well. It's nothing major, but it kind of will get to you after a little bit. It's sort of getting to me right now. On the top of the case, you also have a dust filter / honeycomb thing, and this can fit 220mm or 240mm fans, and it also officially supports a 240mm radiator, but just by the looks of it, I think you can get a 280mm radiator in there, but you might have to do a bit of customization. The back of the case is nothing to really gawk at. You have a 140mm case fan pre-installed, which is the 3rd and final pre-installed fan, but also the 3rd out of the 6 total that you can install. At the bottom right, you have an option to install a 120mm fan, and I kind of think this is weird since it's in such an awkward position. It's right in front of the hard drive bays, so installing it and uninstalling it will be a hassle. I would recommend installing all of your fans before your power supply, just so you don't have to deal with any trouble like that. You also have 2 slots open for your graphics card, so if you have a 3-slot graphics card, I'm sorry, this case won't work for it. But at the same time, you really should be using a 3-slot graphics card with a mini-ITX case in the first place. So you kind of need to set your priorities there. Yeah, sorry. On the left side of your case, you have a dust filter for your power supply, and I will say this is a very strong magnetic dust filter. I had trouble getting it off and putting it back on, so I just want to let you guys know about that. And on the right side of the case, you have this really cute plastic window thing to show off your full-length graphics card. I will say that this actual window is kind of a dust magnet. Not so much a fingerprint magnet. I didn't really have any trouble with fingerprints, but it will collect dust, and I think that's because it's made of plastic and not glass. Going to the inside of the case, I will say that everything in here is removable. And I'm telling you now, if you're going to use this case, you're going to have to remove as many parts as you can before going and installing the actual parts. The motherboard tray is right side up, which I also think should be an industry standard for mini-ITX cases, just so it's easier to work with. And it is also removable. You also have a lot of clearance with your CPU cooler, so you don't need a low profile cooler for this case at all, and you can install a water cooler as well if need be. I am a bit conflicted about the rubber grommets though, because I will say that the big ones are fine to use, but the small ones I am a bit conflicted about because the GPU kind of covers them up and the hard drive bay below them is kind of blocking the pathway to get your cores through the grommets. So it's kind of like, Rosewill, why? Just like, why did you put this on here? So I don't know. I'm a bit conflicted about that. I still can force myself to use one of them to plug in my front IO connector cord, but other than that, it's almost unusable. The case also supports a full-length GPU, like I said. Officially, it supports a 13.3-inch GPU, but I found that 13 inches is really the sweet spot. Anything above that, the clearance is just really not worth it. It's kind of awkward to work with, so I would say just go 13 inches at most if you're going to use this case. I will say that you should install your graphics card very last, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself struggling to get all of the power supply connectors plugged into the right slot. As a matter of fact, the way I would install parts into this case would be go all your fans first, then your water cooler radiator, then your hard drives. Then after you're done with your hard drives, then I would say put on your motherboard with everything installed but the GPU, plug in all of your stuff, then install the GPU and then plug that in. Under the motherboard tray, you have your hard drive bays, and you can install up to 3 2.5 or 3.5-inch storage devices. This is also removable, which you will need to remove to install any of your storage devices because it's in a really weird position in front of the case fan. So you're going to have to uninstall either the case fan, which is, like I said, hard to do, or the hard drive bay, which you should do. Lastly, I just want to touch on cable management. Cable management can get pretty bad with this case, mostly because there's really nowhere to hide any of the wires. You can try using as many Ziploc ties as you can just to get to get the cables looking neat, but putting them away is gonna be tough. I finally actually got so frustrated that I decided to just dump them to the side of the case and leave them there because that's the best alternative that I can figure out because there really isn't anywhere to put your cables. So far, I will say the Rosewill Neutron is a mini-ITX case with not so much a mini-ITX form factor. While it's big and roomy, you are sacrificing that for portability, and the cable management is not very good. But overall, it's a pretty solid case, and I'm very happy with my purchase. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this review or any of my other videos, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what you think about this case. If you have it, we can be like case buddies or something. We should start a group, Case Buddies for Life. #CaseBuddies for Life. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.